Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Ironworker Gaming channel. I am Ironworker814 and thank you for joining me for another Destiny 2 PvP viewer requested weapon review, where we take a look at pros, cons, stats, damage numbers, and how to obtain the weapon. This review was requested by Heather Hodgson, and the weapon we're analyzing today is the Luna's Howl Legendary Hand Cannon. As always, if you find this video useful, helpful, or just enjoyable, please remember to leave it a like and consider subscribing to the Ironworker Gaming channel to catch more videos similar to this one. But Luna's Howl, when it was unleashed in the world of Destiny 2, if you were playing in the Crucible at the time, I would venture to say that it was either your favorite weapon or the bane of your very existence. At the time, this gun was seeing extremely heavy usage, and for good reason. Upon release, Luna's Howl was a 180 RPM precision frame hand cannon that had the ability to 3-tap, giving it like a 0.67 second time to kill value if I'm remembering things correctly. Which may not seem like a major cause for concern right now since stinking 600 RPM auto rifles are killing in 0.7 seconds, but back then Luna's Howl and its less accessible big brother, the Not Forgotten, were outpacing nearly every other weapon in PvP. So in came Bungie with the Nerf Hammer, reducing both weapons' fire rate down to 150 rounds per minute. But also its pinnacle perk was reworked to where increased damage would only apply on your next body shot. These were big hits to Luna's Howl's overall usability. Were they justified? Probably. Was Bungie a little bit heavy-handed here? Also, probably. Luna's Howl used to top the usage rate charts, but since the nerf, we've been seeing less and less of it. And while it hasn't completely fallen off the face of the earth, according to Destiny Tracker, it's currently seeing a 0.4% usage rate, ranking it 63rd for most used guns in the Crucible in quick play game modes over the past month. And even though it's not the overpowered monster that it was in days past, is it still worth using here in Season 11? We'll try to answer that question in this review, but first we'll take a look at how to obtain Luna's Howl for those who have not done so already. Luna's Howl was introduced into Destiny 2 with the Forsaken expansion as a Crucible pinnacle weapon. Though it has been around for a while, the quest to obtain this weapon remains unchanged. To begin the quest, visit Lord Shaxx and pick up the Remembrance quest. This is a multi-step quest, and step 1 is to play 10 matches in the competitive PvP game modes. Second step is to defeat 150 opponents with a hand cannon in these comp game modes. Third step, get 200 solar final blows in comp game modes. Step 4 is to finish 3 rumble matches, and step 5 is to get 100 precision final blows in comp game modes. And finally, step 6, the last step of the quest, is to reach glory rank Fabled. If you're a strong PvP player with a good feel for hand cannons, this quest is going to be no problem for you. But for a mediocre or below average player, this quest is going to feel like a slog, but with patience and time, it is totally doable. Luna's Howl is a legendary solar hand cannon shooting at 150 rounds per minute with 10 rounds in the magazine. As far as stats go, reload and stability are quite good, with range being average and handling being slightly below average. Checking the hidden stats on light.gg, Luna's Howl has an aim assist value of 79 with a bounce intensity of 5 and a recoil of 95, which makes the recoil direction of this weapon very vertical. Intrinsically, while Luna's Howl does share the same fire rate and damage numbers as lightweight frame hand cannons, the intrinsic trait remains that of the 180 RPM precision frame hand cannons, where the recoil pattern on this weapon is more predictably vertical with high accuracy. Luna's Howl also comes packing Drop Mag for its magazine option and Zen Moment for the first perk column, which are both very effective for use in the Crucible. The unique pinnacle perk is Magnificent Howl, where rapidly landing 2 precision shots increases the next shot's damage and range for a short duration. Just do keep in mind that the extra damage will only translate to a body shot post-nerf. And also, this weapon comes fully masterworked in stability. For the damage numbers, Luna's Howl will do 68 points of damage on a precision shot landed, and 43 points of damage to the body, giving us an optimal time to kill of 0.8 seconds requiring 3 crits, and a body shot time to kill of 1.6 seconds requiring 5 shots landed. When Magnificent Howl is procced, you can see that the damage on the third shot is unchanged, but when that third shot lands on the body, it is doing 68 points of damage, which is the same as a crit. So this does not affect the time to kill, but it does add some forgiveness, allowing us to go 2 crit in 1 body to achieve that 0.8 second time to kill. And then for the range, we're going to see our damage diminish past that 26 meter mark, unless we have a Magnificent Howl bullet proc. And when Bungie said this bullet does carry extra range with it, they were not joking around, because we are seeing max damage all the way out to 49 meters. And I think that pretty much covers everything here, so let's head into the pros. For me personally, Luna's Howl comes packing one of the main selling points for me when it comes to choosing a hand cannon. That being stability. When using a hand cannon at its max fire rate, I want to ensure that there is as little deviation shot to shot as possible. And Luna's Howl does do a very good job in this department. Also, the reload speed is very snappy. And being that we are dealing with a gun that's only carrying 10 rounds in the magazine, stuffing more bullets in there as quickly as possible is very important. And then not only does Luna's Howl keep the intrinsic nature of 180 RPM hand cannons, but it also maintains the visual recoil. My biggest complaint about hand cannons when I was playing on console was the way that the gun just flew up in the air every time you pulled the trigger. This never was a major issue for me playing on PC, but with the narrower field of view on console, it was very distracting. Your 180 RPM hand cannons, as well as Luna's Howl and Not Forgotten, do not behave in this manner. The gun just pops up a tiny bit when you pull the trigger, and then settles back in quickly, readying itself for the next shot. Also, something that you may or may not be aware of is the fact that your 180 RPM hand cannons have perfect in-air accuracy. This is another feature that also carries over with Luna's Howl. Having a hand cannon that's sitting with the best-in-class optimal time to kill, whose shots land exactly where you're aiming even when in the air, is definitely a benefit that cannot be overlooked. And lastly, the added forgiveness from the Magnificent Howl perk can make a very big difference, especially for lower skill players or players who are less adept with hand cannons. Landing 3 consecutive headshots with a hand cannon is not some Herculean feat by any means, but it's not something that an average player is going to pull off consistently. Sneaking in 2 headshots and then landing a body shot is a lot less daunting of a task. Plus, generally in the Crucible, when an enemy player takes damage, they tend to default to evasive maneuvers. So in this case, this added forgiveness can really shine for all players and all skill levels. Since if it's 2 headshots that prompt the enemy player's movement, it is a very easy cleanup kill putting 1 more on the body. But we do have some cons to touch on, and we're going to get into those now. The first thing I noticed right off the bat when live testing Luna's Howl is how sluggish the handling was. I initially had it in my head that I was going to pair Luna's Howl with a sniper, but I didn't take into account that Luna's Howl also maintains the generally poor handling of the 180 RPM hand cannons. I mean, I could almost hear the gears grinding when I was trying to swap between weapons. So I'd say if you want to use Luna's Howl as a cleanup or quick swap weapon, your other weapon should have decent handling to compensate for this a little bit. Next, Luna's Howl just doesn't feel like it wants to help you out much in the bullet magnetism aspect. And on paper, I really can't pinpoint why. The range stat, while not great, is on par with other 150 RPM hand cannons, and the aim assist value, while a little lower than most 150s, isn't egregiously bad by any means. But still, it just feels a little bit off. Now, I've played around a good bit with Dire Promise and Spare Rations and other 150 RPM exotic hand cannons, and I gotta say the difference is noticeable, even on PC where our aim assist plays less of a factor. Luna's Howl just does not seem to hit shots for me as reliably as some of its counterparts. Lastly, and this might just be me nitpicking, but when Magnificent Howl was nerfed, I thought it would be nice to see the usable time frame increase just a touch. And I know the idea behind it was to help you win 1v1 engagements, not to be carried through to the next engagement. But I think even just an increase from 3 seconds to 5 seconds could help this weapon out without causing it to step out of line. Cause sometimes you end your 1v1 duel with 2 crits, and it would be nice to keep that increased body shot damage for just a shade longer. Maybe giving you the leg up that you need on that next enemy that's right around the corner. And like I said, I'm probably just nitpicking, but I thought I'd throw it out there. So for the verdict, and would I say Luna's Howl is still a good option in the Crucible? All in all, I would say yes, this is still a very serviceable hand cannon. Is it a top tier option? No, not anymore, but it still can definitely get the job done. While you may find other hand cannons to be somewhat more consistent in certain cases, the added forgiveness from Magnificent Howl can secure you kills that otherwise you may have missed out on. So if you haven't touched your Luna's Howl in a while, pull it out of your vault, blow the dust off, give it a try, and let me know what you think. So since you made it to this point in the video, if you did enjoy it, how about leaving it a like? And consider subscribing to the Ironworker Gaming channel if you can appreciate the content and the manner in which it is presented. If you'd be interested in following me on Twitch or Twitter, head over there once this video is done and look for Ironworker814. And if you'd like to get a hold of me, simply comment down below. I read and respond to all my comments because I respect your time and value your feedback. And with all that being said, I'd like to thank you for taking time out of your day to check out this weapon review. You guys are awesome, and I will catch you on the next one.